DeSoto, welcome to another edition of DeSoto In-Depth. This is the show where we give a little more time to a subject that deserves it. And what takes up more of our time in DeSoto than our teens? Think about it. If you're a parent, are you living for yourself, or are you driving to practice after practice, or going to meeting after meeting, all related to your teen? That's an ambiguous question, but I'm sure there's a lot of heads nodding out there. And if you're wondering what to do with your teen this weekend and you don't know, we have a big event, a multi-city event for teens. So today we have two people to talk about not only this event, but what we're doing in DeSoto to help keep our teens not only on a straight and narrow path, but make them aware of opportunities and encourage them and really do everything we can to make them successful in life. We have the guest to my immediate left. We have Val Armstrong, who's the interim director of the DeSoto Public Library System. Val, thanks for coming out today.
My pleasure.
And next to you, someone who, if you're from DeSoto, I'm not going to even introduce Chris Glover, but I just sort of messed up and did. Chris is the head of our park system, the director or managing director or chief of the DeSoto Park System. And even though they are not the main entity for the Everything Teen Expo 2022, they are in a supporting role and a leading role when it comes to basically coming up with a plan to make our teens' lives better. Chris, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Matt.
Appreciate having you both here. And I want to ask you, Val, what are you going to be doing this Saturday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m.? Anything special?
So the Teen Expo, our Saturday Teen Expo, is going to be on Saturday, April the 30th from 10 to 3. We are delighted after a 2.5-year pandemic hiatus to be able to host our DeSoto Teen Expo Everything Teen Expo event. So it is it started in 2016, it has been one of the largest teen events in the best Southwest area. So we are expecting over 50 vendors that are oriented towards teen services. We have 21 teen-oriented workshops, 12 performers, and we also are showcasing 3 celebrity performers, which will be Shy Speaks, who is a local teen hip-hop artist who will be here. She has created videos for the DeSoto High School women's basketball team.
The state champion.
The state champion.
Two years in a row.
Yeah.
2 times. Chris was going to correct you if I did.
Yes. And that we also will have 8x2 and Deja, who are, again, local teen hip-hop celebrities who have worked with the library before. And we're also very happy to be able to have WFAA Channel 8's DJ Elsie, who will be DJing the event. And he's performed for us before. We're very honored to be able to have him here as one of the headliners.
And that's L and C.
L and C.
Okay.
Yes.
Or LC.
LC.
Okay. The way you said it, it sounded like a different name, but that's cool. Okay. And I'm sure he won't be gunning for you. Mm-hmm. But we're looking forward to quite a presentation. Now, with those vendors, you mentioned teen-oriented services. If I'm there for any reason, am I going to have to stay away from those vendors, or do any of those oriented services include food or something entertaining?
So at this stage, we are planning on having 5 different food trucks. All of the vendors have been invited because they provide some type of service towards teens. So one of the groups that will be there will be the DeSoto Artist League, and they will be conducting several art-oriented workshops from mime and acting classes, hip-hop classes, jewelry-making classes, spoken word, which is like poetry workshops. So we are absolutely thrilled that they will be able to be here. There will be other workshops too. There will be like a young men's, teen men workshop, building on character. character building. We have a casting call, which is...
Is there an age limit for that workshop on character building?
I think we would both be able to sneak in if we felt we needed it. So, and then we've been having the last few weeks a casting call modeling workshop for both young women and young men. Part of that is getting ready for how to wear and present your dress at prom, but it's also for people interested in modeling careers as well. So they'll be here as well, conducting workshops and workshops on mental health and other topics too. So all geared towards encouraging teens about their possibilities and what they can do as far as character building and outreach to reach those possibilities.
So this tackles a lot of teen issues and a lot of opportunities head on, which is good, especially the mental health aspect, because any parent of a teen has to be concerned about all the pressures their kid has on them. And I'm not talking at home, I'm just talking from peers. So we're looking at that. We're also looking at some really fun activities. Are you really giving laser beams to teenagers? Have you vetted this properly?
So we have in the past, and all went safely. It will be well managed. So we will have laser tag for those that are interested. We have, for the first time, it's called Lab on the Go. It's provided by Dallas College. It's basically an 18-wheeler that is decked out with state-of-the-art robots. I'm told that they have 2 Universal Studios life-size type robots that will be there. And then the entire inside of this big rig is decked out with ways that young people can go in and explore their interest in robotics. And we also have a defensive driving simulator for those that are a lot of teens that are getting ready to be out on the road.
I could tell you as not a native North Texan, though it is my home, my proud home now, defensive driving classes, that's a godsend. We're also,
as well as that, karaoke, cupcake wars. We have a 3D printing workshop. So that's an up-and-coming industry. So for young people that are interested in that, we will have a demo 3D printer that they can take a look at, the possibilities with that. So for those full 5 hours, there is no shortage of activities that they'll be able to take part of and performances going on at the same time.
Now, there's also, if I saw that correctly, is that free facials and haircuts?
Yes, there is.
Because I got to get in line for both.
Well, you do. Some of us have more hair to cut than others.
That's true. That's true.
So, but yes, so free facials and free haircuts, and also workshops on how to do both. So
that's pretty cool. So you're covering the whole waterfront here. So we're looking at a fun event coming up, and we're going to talk about this during the course of the show, but those are the basic highlights. I want to talk a little bit about, and we'll get into the real in-depth stuff with Chris in a couple minutes, but both of you find that both in libraries and the park system, probably an inordinate amount of your clients are teens. What responsibility does this add to your list for looking out for them? And I'm going to jump to Chris, who's been sitting here quietly. The importance of making sure not only there's activities for the teens, but keeping them engaged and interested.
Yeah, in May of 21, our city council approved our youth master plan, our Parks and Rec department. We're an accredited organization. And with the youth master plan, it really serves as a guide. Before we created the youth master plan, we did focus groups, did surveys, and really tried to keep up with what teens really want to see. And that's really important because a lot of times with what we do, we think that, how we grew up is how they need to grow up. And that's not necessarily the case. So when we go through the youth master plan, that has been a huge benefit for us through our teen council. What the library is doing on the 30th, is it? With the summit, that is one of the most huge events. And when you look at the entrepreneurship and all of those things, they're consistent with some aspects that are in the youth master plan. And and our library is also a part of the Youth Master Plan. Some specific areas include education, youth health and mental wellness, life skills, career readiness, and sports and recreation. And as you can see, with the gamut of activities that are outlined for that day, they really cover a lot of those areas, which is what we received from our focus groups and our surveys saying what teens wanted to see in DeSoto.
Now, when you say the focus groups, these are teen focus groups.
They're teen focus groups. They surely are. And also there's a civic engagement portion that was passed down from our city council where teens are involved with civic engagement. And we have city council members that actually meet with teens. And so that's a cool thing to see that interaction, and that our city leadership is really focused on teens, because a lot of cities that you go to, we get so caught up in the business of running the city that a lot of times we really don't consider teens as a vital part of what we do. And so this youth master plan really gives us the framework to make sure that we've included teens in the fabric of how we do business in the city.
I mean, that's great, and library plays an important role. You're part educator, part chaperone. Why don't you talk a little bit about your teen clientele and any input that they've given you for your events?
And so, yeah, we have for years had a strong teen contingent. For a while, we had a teen advisory board. And what we're trying to do, there's a few things, or three goals major. One is to highlight the positive things that teens are doing, and that's really one of the goals of the Teen Expo, but also of our other programs. So a lot of times there's negativity and negative things that are expressed, but we want to highlight the positive things that teens are doing in the community. We also are looking to connect teens with agencies and resources that can help them. As far as like teens are starting to think about college or careers, and so we're looking to help get them ready for that, give them the resources that they need, and connect them to people that can assist them with those decisions. And then we're also looking to provide teens with resources to help them. So, being a teen in ordinary times is a challenge. With the last 2 years with the pandemic and being shut in, having to do virtual school, it's been incredibly difficult for all of us, and especially for teens. So we're looking to walk them through that process. We've had workshops at the library that encourage them to look at those struggles, evaluate them, come out with a positive outlook towards it, and what they've learned and what they can contribute.
And I've had this talk with Chris before about the teens we have in DeSoto. And, sometimes you may read something or see something in the news. That's not the teens of DeSoto. That's some. But we've had a lot of success stories, Chris. And one of the things that amazed me is, some people say, well, you have to do more than athletics in life. And there's a lot of kids who achieve academically. But there's no reason you can't do both. And what was it? We had figured out, you had told me that 6 or 7 of the DeSoto Lady Eagles team were not only got athletic scholarships, but they were recognized for their scholarship.
Yeah. Athletics provides a lot of discipline. There are some really, really good kids in DeSoto, and a lot of times when we focus strictly on athletics, we miss out on a wide variety of opportunities for other kids. And so the athletics portion of it is an important part of what we do in Parks and Recreation. But being able to combine our efforts with the library and just offering more of a diverse programming opportunity for kids, for all teens, and not just the athletic teams are big. But this community has some, again, extraordinary kids. And when Val and I are in a unique position because we get to interact with them daily. And when you interact with them daily, you really see them in a different light. Because once they get to know you, you have conversations. You go and you can watch them play games at the high school, or you can go to some of the events and academic choir. You can go and watch them perform. And again, we have some awesome students. It's unfortunate that a lot of the media, when kids or teens are really doing positive things in the community, it doesn't get a lot of light a lot of times. And that is unfortunate, but that is also part of what we do in highlighting those things and having events like the library is hosting, the teen council, what we do, and really putting those things out there so the community can see some of the positive that's going on in our community as well.
And you must see a lot of good with the teens that come in. I mean, sure, there's some you have to, like, keep them quiet or let them know that there's alternatives to the library if they don't behave. But for the most part, you've got some pretty active participants in the library and people who come back because they want to.
They do, and the overall experience is it's been very positive. We have a lot of teens that want to succeed in life, that are interested in learning and getting the skills that they will need for adulthood. So one of the things we did this last summer is we had the teens. One of the staff is experienced in sort of media and graphic design, so they compiled a film, a short comedy that was set in the library. They worked very hard on it, and when they were done, they had a really professional-looking product that they were able to showcase and have others come in and view. So we have teens that are in there every day. On Tuesday evenings, we have a teen-oriented event during the school year, and then all through the summer, there's teen events. And one of the things that has really been impressive is the amount of teens that want to volunteer, to help the community, to help the library. Over the summer, we have a wonderful program. It's called Book Buddies. So teens come in and they will work with an elementary school child who may be struggling to learn to read. So the teen will sit with the child and they will work through reading together. The teen will help provide guidance, just helping the child to practice their reading. And we've had great success with that, not only for the teens, but for the children learning to read or improve their reading, improving their reading over the summer.
And I'm sure there's less barriers when you're dealing with someone who, and I say this with all respect to our teens, chronologically, they're not all that far from being kids. They're the next step between being a child and being an adult. So I'm sure there's less barriers.
Yeah, absolutely. They seem to connect very well. That it's not as intimidating as having an adult, someone who's as old as one of your brothers or sisters, as they're helping you learn how to improve your reading. One
of the conversations I had with Chris Glover recently, and actually on an ongoing basis, are about how there's so many stories of people who were kids and teens in DeSoto. They went on to achieve something, and they give back to their community. We can go with the big names, but just starting off with anyone, Chris, you must have had a few incidents where examples where people come up to you and say, hey, you may not remember me, but I was at the park every weekend, and now I'm a lawyer, or now I'm in business, or now I'm a Super Bowl MVP. Could you tell me a little bit about how often that happens and how it makes you feel?
Oh man, it goes fast, Matt. Some kids that we've seen at the rec center, part of our youth sports programs. They have families now. They're professionals at whatever they have chosen to do. They've gone through college. They've done all of those things. And I think I've been here now for over 22 years. And the 22 years have really, really gone fast. Von Miller, in which we're having Von Miller Day this Saturday from noon until 5 p.m. at Zyger Park. He's probably the most well-known athlete that we have that is currently still, I think he's with the Buffalo Bills now. But it's also not just on the young men's side. We have a lot of young ladies that have really performed. I don't know how many had an opportunity to see Sydney Carter. She had the outfit where she looked stunning that went viral. And she's an assistant coach with the Texas A&M basketball team now. She also played at Texas A&M. So there's a lot of stories that I can tell with a lot of kids, again, that are attorneys. I think Kiera Moore is now an attorney in Mississippi, and she was the president of our Youth Advisory Council at one time. And so just keeping up with those kids and young men and young women, because they aren't kids anymore, but just being able to watch their progression and seeing how dynamic they were as teens, and to see them become our future leaders has really been something for me that has given me a lot of joy in what I do.
And people don't always think of it in these terms, but in our conversation, this came up, and it's really true with DeSoto. This community invests a lot of time and money in our young people, in trying to give them that additional advantage in life, where it's not just keeping them off the streets, but it's really appealing to their senses, trying to develop who are they, where do they want to go in life. And let's just talk a little bit about some of the programs in the library or parks that's something that's not run-of-the-mill. If you had to think of anything that really causes a kid to think and look towards tomorrow, what might it be in the library system?
So I could think of an example of a program we did for our teens this year. So it was based on the idea of being a superhero. So what the mentor, the leader of the program did is have them think through, if you were going to be a superhero, what would it be? What would be your strengths? And they were all excited to talk about that. And then he talked a little bit, well, what would be your weakness or your kryptonite? And so they would, they talked about their superheroes, what their weakness or kryptonite might be. And then he very skillfully turned that into a conversation about what you feel your own weakness might be. And we got very positive reviews from that. And kids felt safe because of the way that he directed the conversation to share maybe what their fears or struggles are, and then find that it's okay. There's support for that among their peers and among the community. So that's the type of thing we're trying to do is get teenagers to know that there is hope, that there is support, that there is a community around them that understands and can help them as they make that transition into adulthood.
DeSoto really is, to borrow a term, a multiverse. And Chris, can you think of any programs or just any examples where you separate just keeping a kid busy to something where, maybe I want to do this for a living?
Yeah, the thing that really jumps out at me is our STEM programming. We offered it during our Christmas breaks, and we also offer it during the summer. And when I was talking about kids earlier, or teens that have been part of our programming, our youth and business manager is Sydney Elliott. And Sydney was also the president of our Youth Advisory Council, our original Youth Advisory Council when we started back in 2006. And so to have her working in our Parks and Rec department, and she's over our teen programming and the STEM programming. But the STEM programming, I think, is something that when we look at the future and where a lot of jobs are going, it's offering a unique blend of technology that teens are really savvy at. So it kind of offers that element, their element, where they're a lot more comfortable with that. But just right off the top, that program really kind of jumps out at me with us being able to offer the STEM programming.
And the STEM program, just some of the some of the technology you might have, and does any of it cross over into like the computer programs from library?
Oh, yeah, a lot of it does. It's being able to, a lot of times, as we talk about teens playing games and doing those types of things, but with the STEM programming, they actually create the games that they play. And so when you're really taking some aspects that teens are interested in and allowing them to be producers and not just consumers, and having them to think outside the box, I think there was an instance where Dirk Nowitzki, they were taking some shoes at one of the rec centers in Dallas, and they were designing shoes. So it's those types of things where we're really trying to change the focus from being consumers to actually being producers and producing products. as opposed to just, going out and supporting other people's ideas, because these kids, again, they're so creative. And when you allow opportunities for them to operate in areas that they have a genuine interest in, man, they'll really surprise you with what they're capable of doing.
Yeah, it sounds to me like we are really plugged into, okay, it's Texas. I hate to use the phrase the liberal arts, but something that's designed to make a student, a teen, a well-rounded individual. And it sounds to me like between that and the activities of the library, you guys are really going forth. What about the computer lab? Do the teens ever hang out there, or do you have to sort of like lure them in there with like cookies or lectures or something?
No, we don't. We actually have a dedicated teen computer area, so they have their own space where they can come in and use the computers that we have. And as well as that, during the summer, teens come in to volunteer, and one of the great ways they've been able to volunteer is in the computer lab, providing assistance to some of the older people that come in that may not be as skilled as they are. So that again is
older being anyone over 30.
older, and yes, anyone over 25 or 30. Yes. So they are a huge help to us in the summer with that, and that helps build confidence too, and job skills, as well as assisting the people that are coming in to use the lab.
Okay, so let's just do a quick recap because we're coming towards the end of our time for today. But we're talking about the Teen Expo, the best Southwest Everything Teen Expo, coming back after a hiatus of 2 years due to the pandemic. That's going to be April 30th.
April 30th, yes. So, and from 10 to 3.
10 to 3. And Von Miller Day. It's not just a day. It's like the State Fair of Texas, but located at Siger Park, and everything's free.
Right. It's free. The Best Southwest Everything Teen Expo is also free, and the expo will be at our amphitheater behind the library and the recreation center. And Von Miller's event, again, it's a huge community event. Get there early. There'll be food, fun, games, and people will have an opportunity to be able to take pictures and get autographs from a lot of professional athletes that will be in attendance.
Now, I know last time Errol Spence was there, but he has a fight in Arlington later that night, so I don't know if we're going to see him this time.
No, I think he'll be busy unifying belts that night, so hopefully our thoughts and prayers will be with Earl, and we're really appreciative of how he represents our community.
And he had some health issues. He had, I think, his retina. He had problems with his eyes, and apparently now he's not only fit to fight, but seeing much better than he ever has.
His trainer, Derek James, was a frequent member at the Recreation Center, and Derek was a professional boxer as well. And I remember Derek talking about Earl when Earl was really, really small, and how much time he spent with Earl, and talks about his dedication to what he does. So just being able to, again, watch the progression and watch the teens and young men grow up to be not just the average of the meal, but to be the tops at their profession and the best that we see out there is really encouraging for the teens and for us watching, and we're fortunate enough to be a part of that journey.
And it's great news for DeSoto. And Val, I got to ask you a question. You see a lot of potential in the teens that come in, and they might go off to real great careers. Do any of them ever try to pull you aside and say, hey, I like what you do for a living. How do I do it? Has anyone asked you how to prepare for library science? And if they haven't, could you tell our people at home if a parent wants to send their kid to the right type of schools and get the right kind of training, what do they want to do?
So, great question. I've not been here a long time, but most people that enter the library profession enter it as a second career, or they had something else in mind and they worked in the library while they were in college and decided to join. But we are always ready to talk to anybody that wants to or enter a profession that's coming into its heyday, really. It's changed a lot in the 30 years that I've been involved A lot of people think that they may be on their way out with technology, but actually we're just hitting our stride. We're more important than ever. So it would be a great career choice for anyone interested.
And for both of your operation, DeSoto Parks and Recreation and DeSoto Public Library, these are community centers. These are places where people come together, and maybe the fitness aspect or the reading aspect, that's secondary. Well, what can I say other than this is being taped on a rainy, lightning-filled day. You two are here on time with a great, encouraging attitude, which rubs off on me, hopefully, and you're crisp. What more could you want from life? Val Armstrong, Chris Glover, thank you both for joining us.
Thank you.
And thanks, and have everybody, if you are celebrating Easter or Passover, may your holidays be joyous, and we'll see you next week on DeSoto In-Depth.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.